You're probably sitting on the fence because a pool pump sounds like a simple swap, but you've heard the horror stories about noisy units that chew electricity or break down just when you need a clean swim. You want something that runs quietly in the background, doesn't send your electric bill sky high, and actually lasts long enough to feel like a real upgrade, not just another piece of hardware you'll be swapping out in a year. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about what the WhisperFlo VST actually replaces in a typical backyard setup. Most homeowners start with a single-speed, open impeller pump that runs at full speed all the time. That design is cheap to buy but expensive to operate because the motor is throttling the entire circulation system regardless of demand. The VST is a variable speed, insulated motor pump that lets you dial the RPM down to the exact flow you need, whether you're just filtering a few hours a week or powering a water feature that runs all day. If you've ever watched your electricity meter spin while the pool filter runs, you know the pain point. You're paying for a pump that's overworking. The VST's variable speed controller gives you a menu of speed settings that correspond to real gallons per minute numbers. In practice, that means you can run the pump at 1,500 revolutions per minute for light filtration and drop to 1,000 revolutions per minute for a gentle cleanup, shaving off 5,070% of the energy that a single speed would use for the same job. I've seen homeowners quote a $150, $200 monthly savings after switching, and the numbers line up with the motor's efficiency rating. Installation is where a lot of the hesitation comes in. The VST is a complete PowerEnd package, which includes the motor, a built-in controller, and the necessary wiring harnesses. For a DIYer with basic plumbing skills, the process is comparable to swapping out a dishwasher. You turn off the power, disconnect the old pump, bolt the new unit in place, connect the pre-wired harness, and program the controller. The real trick is making sure the motor's wiring matches your pool's existing voltage. Most residential pools are 240V, and the VST ships configured for that, but a mismatch can cause a tripped breaker or, worse, damage the unit. If you're uncomfortable with electrical work, a quick call to an electrician for the final hookup is a small price to pay for the long-term savings. One of the biggest practical strengths of the WhisperFlo is its noise profile. Traditional pumps often sound like a small engine humming in your backyard, which can be a real annoyance when you're trying to relax by the pool. The VST's insulated motor and slower speed settings keep the sound level down to a gentle where you barely notice. In real-world terms, I've heard pool owners say they can actually have conversations or listen to music without the pump drowning out everything else, something you'll appreciate during evening swims. On the flip side, the variable speed controller does introduce a layer of complexity. The touchscreen menu is straightforward, but you do have to spend a few minutes learning the preset programs and how to create custom schedules. For someone who just wants on and off, that learning curve might feel like an unnecessary chore. The good news is the controller saves your settings in non-volatile memory, so even after a power outage the pump remembers your last configuration. If you're truly hands-off, you can set a single default speed and let the pump run that way forever, but you'll miss out on the biggest energy savings. Who should buy the WhisperFlo VST? If you own a medium-tonnage pool, run a water feature, or simply want to reduce your carbon footprint and utility bills, this is the kind of upgrade that pays for itself within a couple of seasons. It's also a smart choice for new pool owners who are building a system from scratch. Starting with a variable speed pump avoids the costly retrofit later. Homeowners who are on a strict budget and only run the pump a few hours a month might still see a benefit, but the upfront cost, which is higher than a basic single speed, could take longer to recoup. Who should skip it? If your pool is a tiny plunge tub that runs a handful of minutes a day, the energy savings are marginal, and the extra control features are overkill. Also, if you live in a rental property where you can't make permanent electrical changes, the VST's wiring requirements could be a deal-breaker. Finally, anyone who isn't comfortable at all with basic plumbing and electrical work should consider hiring a pro for the installation, as cutting corners could void the warranty and lead to bigger headaches down the line. Let's talk about the hidden trade-offs that most spec sheets gloss over. The variable speed motor runs cooler than a single speed, which translates to a longer lifespan for the bearings and insulation. In the field, that means fewer service calls and a lower chance of premature failure. However, the trade-off is that the pump's internal parts are more intricate, and if